Today I'm inviting everyone into my garden, and I want to share a case that many people encounter. A potted orchid might look hopeless at first glance, leaves falling off, stems weak, and tips lacking vitality. But don't throw it away just yet. When leaves fall off in droves, wrinkle, and turn yellow, it's often a sign of bacterial and fungal infection. If not treated promptly, the tips will wither and the plant will almost stop growing. With leaves like these, we need to remove them and keep them away from the garden to prevent the spread of disease to other plants. Next, we'll check the plant's growing medium. I removed the plant from the pot to see where the problem lies. The lower roots are rotten, soft, and smelly. This is the consequence of prolonged dampness, poor aeration of the growing medium, and mold growth that corrodes the entire root system. I removed all the old growing medium and examined each root. This industrial growing medium is mainly for water retention. Continuous watering will cause waterlogging, leading to root rot. When the roots are damaged, the plant cannot absorb water and nutrients, and leaf drop is inevitable. Roots that are rotten, black, and mushy when squeezed must be completely removed. With a root system like this, we need to carefully examine the inside to find any parts that are still alive. Next, I took my scissors and began cutting away the rotten, soft, or blackened roots. These roots were no longer able to absorb water and nutrients. Keeping them would only spread the fungal disease to the healthy parts. I cut decisively, little by little, until I saw that the inside of the root was still white-green, fresh, and firm. That was the part that was still alive. Some roots looked intact on the outside but were rotten inside. I gently squeezed them to check if they were hollow or soft. I removed them immediately. I kept the roots above that were still firm and healthy. Once the trimming was complete, this was the part that was still fresh and would sprout new roots, which we would discard and prepare for the necessary methods to revive it. Next, I took the orchid to the washing area and began thoroughly cleaning it with clean water. I thoroughly rinsed away all the dirt, moss, and decaying debris clinging to the base and roots. Any black spots, bruised areas, or signs of fungal infection were immediately cut away with sterilized scissors. Once all the damage was removed and the stem and roots were clean, I rinsed it one last time. After processing, we set them aside to prepare for antibacterial and antifungal cleaning of the plants. Next, I prepared a clean container. Then I added 1 liter of clean filtered water to the container. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe buttons to support me and so you don't miss any orchid care tips. It's great to have you as a companion on this journey. Next, I use baking soda. It's a very familiar ingredient, but if used correctly, it helps with mild antibacterial and antifungal effects, keeping the root area cleaner and limiting disease development. I took 1 teaspoon of baking soda and added it to the water. Then I stirred it thoroughly until it dissolved completely. Once the solution is completely dissolved, I begin the next step in treating the orchid. Next, I prepared a clean cup. Next, we place the orchid root into the cup. Next, we completely submerge the roots in baking soda solution to disinfect and stimulate root growth. I let the plant soak for about 30 minutes. Next, I didn't waste the remaining solution. I took the prepared pine bark, put it in a clean container, and poured the leftover baking soda solution over it to soak. The purpose was to disinfect and clean any remaining mold in the substrate. If not properly treated, pine bark can be a breeding ground for fungi and bacteria. I soaked the growing medium for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, I gently removed the orchid from the solution. Next, I used a soft, clean cotton cloth to wipe the entire stem and base of the orchid. Any dirt and mold clinging to the surface would be completely removed. After wiping it, place the plant out to prepare for the next planting step and use a fertilizer that stimulates root growth. Next, I took out a jar of cinnamon powder. I lightly sprinkled cinnamon powder on the cuts and wounds on the orchid stem and roots. Cinnamon powder has excellent antiseptic properties, helping to prevent fungal and bacterial infections, and also helps wounds dry quickly. I carefully treated each cut, ensuring the cinnamon powder covered the necessary areas evenly. Afterward, I placed the plant in a dry, well-ventilated place with gentle light and left it undisturbed to allow the wounds to dry and heal naturally. After soaking for enough time to eliminate fungi and bacteria, I removed the pine bark and spread it out to dry naturally. Remove the pine bark to drain the water and let it dry before planting. Next, once the cuts on the stem and roots have completely dried, I begin repotting the orchid. I always choose pots with plenty of drainage and aeration holes. Because orchids cannot tolerate waterlogging, the roots need to breathe for the plant to thrive in the long term. I first place a layer of potting mix, then gently place the plant in the center of the pot. Then, I add pine bark around the base, gently shaking it so the potting mix gets between the roots while maintaining its looseness. And that's how I finish repotting the orchid. I covered the surface of the pot with a thin layer of moss. This moss helps retain moisture for the upper roots, especially the young root tips that are preparing to sprout. I only applied a moderate layer, not compacting it. That completes the replanting of the orchid. During this period, I moved the plant to the garden, placing it in a shady, well-ventilated spot with gentle light. I didn't water it immediately. I let the plant rest, allowing the wounds to heal and adapt to the new growing medium. Next, I chose a pot with plenty of drainage holes and gently placed it over the orchid. The purpose wasn't to completely cover it, but to create a temporary protective space preventing insects, dust, or other external factors from affecting the wound and new roots. After 4 days, I returned to check on the orchid. I removed the covering and carefully observed each root tip. When I saw that the cut ends were dry and there were no signs of fungal infection, I moved on to the next step, adding nutrients. Next, I prepared a small, clean container. I use coffee as a nutrient for my plants. Few people know that coffee contains active compounds that help fight bacteria, mildly inhibit fungi, and especially stimulate root growth if used correctly. I take a teaspoon of pure ground coffee. Then I pour in about 500 milliliters of boiling water. Hot water helps extract the nutrients in the coffee better. I stir well until it dissolves and blends completely. Once stirred, I close the lid tightly and begin the fermentation process. Let the solution rest for exactly 1 hour. After an hour of steeping, I open the lid to check. I stirred it gently once more to distribute the nutrients evenly, then prepared another clean container. I filter out all the coffee grounds. I never let the grounds mix into the watering solution, because the residue in the substrate can easily clog pores, cause fungal growth, and damage the roots. After filtering, we add vitamin B1. For orchids with weak roots or those that have just been repotted, B1 acts as a booster to help the roots reduce shock, stimulating the growth of stronger and more even new roots. I took out 3 B1 tablets. I dropped the 3 tablets into the filtered coffee solution and stirred until dissolved. I let it sit for about 15 minutes to allow the B1 to completely dissolve and blend with the coffee solution to form a homogeneous mixture. After 15 minutes, the solution was ready, a natural fertilizer. I started watering directly at the base of the plant, evenly around the pot to allow the solution to penetrate deep into the growing medium. When the roots are fully absorbed, the plant will truly be healthy from the root. Then, I place the entire pot in the water for about 20 minutes. This is a crucial step to ensure the growing medium absorbs enough nutrients, helping the roots to be full of water and nutrients. After soaking for 20 minutes, I lifted the orchid pot, letting the excess water drain away. I then placed a protective cage over the pot and secured it firmly on both sides. At this point, the roots were fully saturated with nutrients. The growing medium had absorbed the water evenly, and the plant was beginning its recovery and stabilization phase. Afterward, I placed the plant in a shady, well-ventilated area with gentle light. After 4 weeks, the orchid had fully recovered. Just 1 month after consistently providing proper care, the plant began to sprout a healthy new shoot. Seeing the tender, vibrant green shoot emerge, I knew the underlying root system had become active again. This was the clearest sign that the plant had overcome its weakened state. From a plant that seemed beyond repair, it has now stood firm again. Next, I continued to prepare the fertilizer for the orchids according to the formula I shared above, a mixture of coffee grounds and vitamin B1. After mixing, I put the solution into a spray bottle. Then I gently spray it evenly onto the leaves, roots, and the growing medium so that the plant can absorb nutrients naturally. With this care method, I maintain it every 2 weeks to ensure the plant receives the correct amount of nutrients according to its growth rhythm. On the remaining days, I don't use fertilizer but only water, with clean water and mist to maintain humidity every 3 days. This care schedule helps prevent nutrient shock while maintaining the necessary moisture for sustainable growth. When the plant is young or recovering, I always lightly cover it with a mesh cover to prevent insects and maintain a stable environment. Then I place the plant in a well-ventilated garden with soft, diffused light, the conditions orchids prefer most. After another month of diligent and proper care, I am truly delighted to see this orchid showing such remarkable progress. Look at the roots. New wide roots have emerged, their tips plump and firm, a sign that the plant is absorbing nutrients extremely well. The leaves have also turned green again, becoming thicker and more structured, demonstrating that the plant is recovering its vitality day by day. For me, the moment of seeing the orchid revived is the result of both skillful care and dedication. Just maintain a consistent care routine, and soon the plant will have enough strength to sprout new flower stalks and produce vibrant blooms. I continue my familiar care schedule. Every 3 days I mist the plant with clean water to maintain natural humidity, and I add fertilizer every 2 weeks so the plant absorbs nutrients gradually, avoiding shock. When properly nurtured in an environment as close to nature as possible, the orchid will grow strong, healthy, and produce beautiful flowers for a long time. After 3 months of patient care, I watched this orchid completely transform. Its leaves are now a deep green, thick, and sturdy, with vibrant red and pink shoots emerging in a clear sign of vigorous growth. The roots spread out, covering the rim of the pot, demonstrating its firm anchoring in the growing medium and excellent nutrient absorption. And indeed, the flower stalks have begun to emerge, signaling the approaching new flowering season. In my experience, when an orchid reaches this state of healthy leaves, strong roots, and vigorous shoots, it will almost certainly reward its caretaker with a spectacular bloom. What do you think of this method of reviving and caring for orchids? Don't hesitate to leave a comment and share your thoughts. I really want to hear your feedback and experiences. Every share from you is a valuable source of motivation that helps us learn and love plants more every day.